Calling meeting to order. This time of 8:01. Roll call.
Councilman Zilico?
Here.
Councilman Aronica? Councilman Madigan?
Here.
Councilwoman Kitty? Here. Supervisor?
Tonight's meeting. Nate sends his regrets on tonight's meeting. The chair not voting is because I do not have a vote. This time we have the invocation by Bible Trust, but seeing you're not here, Patty Penzo will be leading you in prayer, and the pledge will be led by Councilman Mike Madden.
Lord, we thank you for the freedom which allows us to gather in public session this evening. Help us to make wise and just decisions that will continue to ensure this and all freedoms for the citizens of Grand Island. We ask this in the name of Christ our Lord. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'm going to ask the American Legion to come forward for a presentation. We're giving the proclamations to the National Airborne Day, August 16th, 2016. Parachute test platoon was authorized by the War Department in June 25th, 1940 to experiment with potential use of airborne troops. It was composed of 48 volunteers who performed their first official Army parachute jump on August 16th, 1940. The success of the parachute test platoon led to the formation of a large and successful airborne contingency serving in World War II to the present. The 82nd Airborne Division Association exists in parts to participate the memory of those of the 82nd Airborne Division troopers who fought and died for our nation. Grand Island, New York is birthplace and the final resting place for Private First Class Charles M. DeGlopper. He was awarded the nation's highest award, Medal of Honor, for his action above and beyond the call of duty, while serving as a member of the 82nd Airborne Division at La Fire, France, on June 9, 1944. Grand Island is also the birthplace and final resting place for Lieutenant Colonel Terrence N. Crow, a trained airborne trooper serving from the 98th Division and killed by hostile fire while part of a offensive operation in Iraq in June 7, 2005. Grand Island should be proud of those braves of Grand Island. 2016 is the 72nd anniversary of D-Day. The airborne troops played a significant part in the liberation of Western Europe by dropping into Normandy prior to the beach landings on June 6, 1944. Now therefore be resolved that the Town Board of Grand Island does hereby proclaim August 16, 2016 National Airborne Day in the town of Grand Island and encourages the citizens to observe and commemorate this historic event. And be it also noted, the town also urges residents to support the wonderful expansion of the current DeGlopper Memorial. Joe, it's our honor
like to request that all citizens get behind this park expansion at corner of Baseline and Grand Island Boulevard. It's going to be a wonderful event for the island, and I think everybody will appreciate it. So we should all get back in back of it and support it. And thank you very much.
At this time, if there's any public comments to be made on the agenda, please come forward. Please name your name and address for the tapes.
Ann Williams, 1123 West River Road. I'm first of all a resident of Grand Island, and second of all a resident of West River Road. How I feel about the bike path doesn't matter at this point. What does matter is that the issues are being presented in a manner which divides our community. Presented as either yes or no, for or against, my way or the highway. We've been told the old people are against change, the young people are changing everything. Longtime residents don't respect newcomers. West River residents think they own the parkway. Don't believe any of this. Don't allow this town to be torn apart. Talk with your neighbors, and in this small community, we're all neighbors. We may disagree with each other, but it can be done without all the accusations and finger pointing. Maybe some different viewpoints and ideas will even be exchanged. This is about 4 minutes, is there right?
There should be 2 minutes. Is everybody following you up?
No, Mr. Ray. As far as old people, speaking for myself, change is not in and of itself good or bad. It depends on the situation. Younger people, newer residents, it's great to get fresh eyes on the town. Share your hopes for the island as your home in years to come. As far as longtime residents, I'm not one, but I admire their love of this community, their desire to protect it, their loyalty to it, for in some cases, generations. As far as how West River residents feel, we're not all a unit, and I'm only speaking for myself. We realize we don't own the parkway. It would be great if more people used it and saw how special it is. There's overlooks, walk along the river, see the water birds, the sunsets, the boats in the water, the river itself. You can ride your bike there from almost anywhere on the island. The Beaver Island bike path merges right onto West River Road bike path just after the entrance to Beaver Island State Park at the Circle. It's a great ride from almost anywhere on the island of West River and along the already designated bike route. There was a half marathon and a 10K race on the parkway in May. Where's that going to be held if we close the parkway? This past Saturday, the Greater Buffalo Track Club held the bicycling part of their summer Sizzler Triathlon on the parkway. Where will the other fundraisers be held if we close the parkway? This Sunday morning on the West River Road, there were walkers, all ages, bikers, all ages, fast, slow, all enjoying the current bike route on West River Road. It belongs to all of us. We should all care about it no matter where we live. Ask yourself if any of the current plans add anything to what we already have. Are there other ways to build a connector trail between Buffalo and Niagara Falls that would benefit the commercial area of the island and still connect the West River bike route as it's currently posted and do less environmental damage? And it just isn't about West River. There's a promised path around the perimeter of the entire island. How will that affect the East River residents? We just really need to decide what we want Grand Island to be. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you for your comments.
Valerie Funk, 2244 West Oakfield Road, Grand Island, lifetime resident of Grand Island. I would like to support everything that I've just heard from the previous speaker, and I am totally opposed to closing the West River Parkway. As she said, the parkway is there for anyone to use as it stands now. I am against just the parking lots that are proposed. I would like to see some combination of plan option 1 and option 2 that was originally proposed. But as far as closing the West River Parkway, I think it would be a huge mistake. There are many people that could care less about West River Parkway, that they will never ride a bike there or walk there. And there's many people that like to drive along the West River Parkway and stop at the overlooks and enjoy the sunsets and just enjoy it the way it is without having to change it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rose Bugman, 3345 Whitehaven Road, Grand Island, New York. I'm sorry Nate's not here today because the more I read on his site, the more divisive I think he's making this island. And he has referred to us as elitist, opposed to ethnic diversity. These sort of things are not good for anyone on the island. It's not good for anyone to say, and it's not good for anyone to hear. He refers to us as name callers, but he seems to be the only one that's doing it. And I find that one thing that I read was particularly offensive was a reply to a woman who wrote her opinion. He wrote back, if anyone wants to live alone, they are free to purchase an estate somewhere. A house worth a few $100,000 does not entitle you to public land on an international waterfront, so don't let anybody tell you that they own that land. They don't. We own it together. And for the people, and my house is one of the ones that are included, who had their home moved off the waterfront. And then after we were moved off the waterfront, we had a leg of land in the median that was taken away. We know we don't own the waterfront. But we are caretakers of it, and no one else has been doing it. We have been mowing the lawn for years because the state will not do it or cannot do it, doesn't have the funds. No one's reimbursing us for that. And I think that even though there are other opinions, and all of them should be valued, that we are the people who are most directly impacted. And I don't think that we should be written off as elitists. If Nate, with I am sure he has a very strong intellect, can't do anything more than name call and cause divisiveness and call in on every single political person, whether they have anything to do with Grand Island, it's almost, he's almost rabid about the issue. And what he said in one of his notes was that, I will not flinch. This doesn't sound to me like a man who is going to listen to us. And I find it wrong. I find his behavior offensive. I do not find him as a person who is trying to complete the community together, but divided because he, and he alone, seems to be actually rabid about what's going to be put in there.
Your comments are directed at Nate and Eunomia.
I realize he's
Fair,
not here,
if
but
he
you
were
will
here.
see them, I'm sure. And I'm sure he will hear them. I hear he is not, and that's unfortunate. But this is my chance to speak.
Okay.
So I'm speaking because I know that he will get this information back. I don't mean it in an insulting way. I don't know that he knows that this is how he's presenting himself. But I think it's unfair to everybody on this entire issue. The other thing I would like to ask, I got a notation here, or a letter that Mike Madigan put out. And evidently, if we're going to look into the price of option 1 or 2 with or without guardrails.
Nathan or Michael will be speaking to the issues this evening.
Well, no, that's what it says. It says that it said, well, I find the page. Here it is. Mike Madigan would propose to the Grand Island Board that we approve a request from New York State Park option 1 and 2 with guardrails. Mark Thomas indicated the request would need to come from the Grand Island Board. So I'm requesting that this be considered and, look at it and consider voting on such a thing. All right, the other thing I want to know is what's going on with the parking lots and how that can be less expensive, putting 7 parking lots in than putting the blacktop down the road.
Whitehaven and Staley. And I've been there 4 years. In that time, I've observed how many people use it. And it's not going to be able to be used anymore if West River Parkway is closed off. On Sundays, there's a dive club that comes with 15 to 20 cars with people that can party after they dive. Every evening, there's people watching the sunset. Every morning, there's people reading their paper, drinking their coffee in their cars. There's picnics. I've seen a baptism. I've seen wedding pictures. I'm going to say that between 25 and 40 people use that parking area across from me on a daily basis. And I have a funny feeling that that's more than the people that will be using the bike path after it's been there for a month or two. That's just an observation.
Okay. If you like, the comment period has closed for the parks, but it won't hurt if you write those and send them in just for their view.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Maria Coleman, 2825 West River, resident there for the past 30 years. I'm also a practicing family physician in Niagara Falls for also the past 30 years, and I have some concerns regarding the parkway. One of the concerns close to my heart, because I take care of children in my practice, is the fact that you are putting some of our children in harm's way. We will now have between 1,500 and 1,600 cars traversing the West River Road on a daily basis. We also have children living in those homes that play outside, they play ball, and certainly there's concerns regarding the safety. Buffalo had, on the Scajaquada, one child died, unfortunately, in a tragic accident, and now that Scajaquada is down to 30 miles an hour. So I was wondering if there was any thought to the safety of the children. The other thing is, in Niagara Falls, they closed the part of the Robert Moses in many years ago in the hopes of attracting bikers and hikers. And now, after all these years and all the money that went into that, they decided that there was not enough traffic there, and now they're looking into opening that up to cars again. So sometimes when you make changes, they're not always for the better.
I'm Stan Coleman, I'm the husband. So my concern is, number one, I'm a biker. I bike the island around at least 3 times a week. I own 11 bikes, so I know something about bikes. And believe me, West River is the only safe place to bike around the island. The rest is a pushing trail. You're just dodging potholes, which are right now, at least someone use some paint and make the green circles around it so you might not crash. So now opening a bike path, which will be 50 or 60 feet wide, it makes totally no sense. Anybody can use the parkway. Anybody can ride on our access road, which has houses only on one side, no potholes. It's the safest part of riding the island. You also have Beaver Island, which is a great access for everybody. Then we have 2 overlooked parkings, and then we have another overlooked parking at the Navy Island. So that's totally unnecessary. Now, on the weekends, you guys can close anything you wanted because there's really nothing going on. Like we have a lot of things and half marathons, it's all good. But during week, we got actually a lot of traffic. On Staley's, a few manufacturing businesses, they're employing around 1,800 people, and roughly half of it using the North Bridge. And you know, anybody going to work is usually late, and anybody who is trying to get off work is trying to rush. So everybody's speeding, even on a parkway. So that's gonna happen on West River. Plus, I don't think the West River was ever built for such a heavy traffic. So there's a lot of, you know what, I didn't bring my bullets point, I'm talking at Trump today. But I tell you, if I would have all my things, I would put the thoughts together, it would be a lot smoother.
Right now.
But I spoke with, and another thing too, because I know 2 years ago, the board voted to make the bike trail. So we have a little part which is connecting up there and then it's connecting to the road. I never said biker on it yet, because it's dirty, you're gonna lose your tire. Every bikers, and we have a lot of them, going to bypass that bike road and drive right on the road, on the parkway for a little bit, and then go on West River, which is safe. So a lot of those things are really, they don't make sense. And if the state wants to spend $2.5 million or whatever this sum is, why we can't even mow the lawn? I mean, and one more thing. You know that I found about it about 2 weeks ago? So I don't know how those transparent government works here, especially Nathan. Because we live on West River. I didn't know about it. I just found it. Someone told me, oh, did you see it? Go to it. I have no idea what's going on. We knew about the first proposal, which was approved. And then there was some tweeting, something somewhere, some website, but nothing clear. So it's not really transparent government.
Well, that was.
Thank you very
Dave
much. That's not all what I would like to say, but it's a big part of it.
All right, thank you.
Hi, Michelle Ninix, 827 West River Road, also talking about the Parkway closure. I'm absolutely against the Parkway closure, but I also wanted to reiterate what the first person talked about in terms of the way that it's being represented in the community. Supervisor McMurray has put things up on a Facebook page that appear to be soliciting certain constituents to harass other constituents. I mean, that's just unacceptable from someone who's a supervisor of a community. It really is breeding conflict, and unnecessarily so. There's a lot of misinformation being put out, a lot of misdirection that is specifically designed to create an us versus them mentality. And again, it's really harmful to the community. And it's particularly upsetting because what it really is an attempt to do is to silence civic dialogue. You know, we're having a conversation in our community about a proposal that directly impacts the community in a big way. I don't see anything wrong with us having this conversation, but clearly he does, and I don't understand where that's coming from. And again, I think that it's really harmful, and it's completely unacceptable for someone to suggest that constituents should harass other constituents. In terms of the Parkway closure, I mean, again, I want to agree with what these people have said. And also, you know, just to recount a small story, when I moved to Grand Island about 7 years ago, Betty, I mean, some people I'm sure know Betty, Betty said to me, oh, why do you want to look on West River? You should go to East River. That's where all the action is. And I said, I'm not looking for action. I'm looking for green space. I'm looking for trees. I'm looking for peace and quiet. And one of the things that I love about the West River Parkway is that it's not Niawanda Park. You know, you don't have a steady stream of cars in front of people's houses. You don't have businesses. You don't have the impact on the natural environment. And I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, and who in their right mind wants to put up 9 parking lots in a state park and take away this green space that we have? It really is, it's such a contradiction in terms to argue that, oh, everybody should have access. And access to what? Parking lots? I mean, that does not make sense. So again, I want to reiterate my complete objection to the Parkway, and also to encourage the board to please talk to your other members and your people and about how this dialogue is unfolding, because it's unhealthy for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments on items on the agenda?
Jim Mazza, 3819 West River Road. I read that the council had voted 3-2 to send a letter to the state correcting what the state information was, which was that the council was in favor of closing the parkway. And the council had not voted that way. It voted 3-2. To my dismay, it appeared in another article I was reading that the supervisor, unfortunately is not here to respond to this, but I would like a response, wrote to the state on our town letterhead suggesting that that vote was not indicative of what the community felt. And I just thought, you know, is he the ultimate person on this, or is the council? A 3-2 vote indicates to me that the parkway should not be closed, and that's our town position. Why did he do what he did?
I cannot answer that question because I'm not aware of any letter.
It's on the internet, and it's on the stationery, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Thank you. I want it first times.
Let's read it. Let's read this letter on the agenda.
See that? Yeah, read it right into the minutes, honey. Read it right into the minutes.
I'd be happy.
Anyone would think.
Joe Stefan, 3511 West River. A lot of people are against it. I'm in favor of it. We seem to have a well-organized group here tonight that are all talking about being against it. There have been a couple petitions going around. The ones that have signed up against it come out to about 80. The number who have come out against, rather for it, come out to about 400.
Let's see it. Let's see it. Excuse me.
It's online. Somebody said, where are you? It's online, and it's there for anybody to see that wants to take a look at it. As far as the traffic, I think that's been blown up all out of proportion. If the parkway's closed, I think people will, especially those going to work on Staley, will take the Whitehaven exit, go over Alvin, down Staley. There's no need for them to come down the service road. They won't want to comply with the 30-mile-an-hour limit, and that should be enforced. Anybody exiting for the West River could come off at where it would be closed at Long and be diverted over to Long and to the Grand Island Boulevard. The service road should be identified as a service road and for the use of only the residents. Anybody that is making deliveries or servicing the residents, and similar, it should not be a thoroughfare. There should be no through traffic. There are a number of other things. I think that the parkway has it set up dangerous for visitors who are unfamiliar with the area. They come upon it at the end of any of the feeder roads, and they are presented with 2 lanes, and they think that's a parkway. It's called a parkway, and they expect one-way traffic going one way on each part of it. There have been a number of deaths, many accidents at these intersections, and you want to talk about deaths on the expressway, Skagakwood Expressway. There's been more deaths on this parkway than there have been on the Skagakwood. I think a lot of the other objections are unfounded too. You're not going to have businesses popping up on the road like over in Tonawanda. So as far as the number of people who have voted on this, it comes out, as I said, to about 80 to 400, and that gives you a good indication how many people are for this. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's the website?
What's the website?
We didn't even get the petition started yet.
Is there any other? Excuse me. Right.
Okay, I'm Kathy Steffen, 3511 West River Road. My concern is the safety on West River Road. Everybody says how safe it is. I was talking to the mailman that services our part of the road, and he said, of course everybody on West River is for it, aren't they? I said, no, they're not. He says, well, for him, it's difficult because he doesn't have windows, and he says he's very afraid of bikers because they get in his way, you can't see them when he's there. The other thing about making the path go between the parkway and the river, I find to be a
difficult. Some places, it's wide enough, you can do that, but in other places, when you've got that steep bank, and you've got the parkway very close, and you're now having to put not only one, I can never remember this name. What's the word I'm looking for?
Oh, guardrail.
Guardrail, thank you. You not only have to put up a guardrail between the cars and the people that are on the trail, but now you're going to have to put a guardrail between the trail and the river. And so, for those who are saying they want to have a good view of the river, you are really cutting it back, especially in those narrow areas. Just a thought, that is not a good location. There's too many places where the bank is so steep that it's very difficult to even work with the Parks Department and get that area cleaned off. That's another thing I'm hearing that, excuse me?
That's a stage problem.
Excuse me, please let the speaker speak.
So, safety on West River Road, I can see as a problem. I saw two women with strollers, one of them, they were side by side, and one of them was in the road with her stroller. And this happened on Saturday, and it was just appalling to me. So, it really is, a problem. And I am for closing the parkway. I know I'm speaking against the crowd, but
Thank you.
Can I speak one more time?
Please.
Just to address the issue with the strollers, if you've ever tried to walk with a stroller on East River Road, I think it would be much more dangerous than on West River Service Road. As far as that letter that Nate sent out, I'm appalled that the board doesn't know about it. After the vote, the 3-2 vote against the town backing option number 3, he went ahead and sent a letter stating that he was in support of it, and the vote meant nothing. That wasn't what everybody on Grand Island wanted. And if you haven't looked at his Facebook page, you really should. It's unbelievable that a supervisor would put the stuff that he's putting. In fact, one of his most recent posts, and I wish he was here, I really was hoping he was here tonight. One of his most recent posts was that he's going to write to every single politician that might have any interest in this and get their support for it, which I thought was appalling.
Thank you.
My name is June Crawford, and I live at 1945 West River Road. I oppose the closing of the parkway. I also want to comment on the Facebook page that our supervisor has put up. He not only put that letter up, and he took a picture of himself doing that, or maybe Cindy took a picture. Someone took a picture of him signing the letter on town stationery with the town seal at the top of the letter after the vote had been taken by the town board. To me, that's appalling. And I have been in contact with the State Board of Ethics for elections, and I intend to pursue this.
Let's limit our conversation now to 2 minutes, please.
Just one more thing again, Michelle Nennings, 827 West River Road, with regard to the issue of petitions. I just want you to know that I'm on the West River Homeowners Association. I've not signed a petition yet. There really are not petitions that are widely being circulated yet in opposition to closing the parkway. Nate might have people weighing in because he's put things up on Facebook page, but we're doing this by pen and paper, and so we have not done that. So I just want to say that those numbers are not really accurate, just to let you know, because really we don't have
Let's not challenge
people
each other,
going around.
please.
So I just wanted, to make
Just
that
board.
clear so people understand that.
Thank you. Are there any comments to be made on the agenda? And please keep the comments to the agenda. I don't believe Nate's on it.
Hi, Dan Albert, 1401 West River Road. My family and I have been here for 60+ years, and I own a few properties on West River, and I have a lot of concerns. I'm opposed to this closing of the parkway. could talk to some people on Staley Road, how they feel about the traffic coming out of the plants, and it's pretty bad, all day and all night. And they conducted a study from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., I believe, they said it was 28 cars per hour. But they haven't checked into 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., which is where most of the kids get the buses. And I have a concern about the children on West River and possible lawsuits by closing down the parkway and say, you know, the child was to get injured. And also, with the more traffic, it was an old study, by the way, of the cars. It was back in 2013. And there's approximately, I'd say, I think it was 2,000 cars between the two roads total, and there was more the north way on Parkway. And plus the maintenance is going to be a little bit more on that West River Road, Service Road, which was for the residents. Actually, one of my properties was on the water and was moved back under eminent domain, put that Parkway in. And, you know, maybe they should move the houses back then if they think they have water. But I mean, there's a lot of concerns, and I'll submit them to the board, but I'm strongly opposed to closing the Parkway. I'm not opposed to a bike path, which would be fine, you know, between the Parkway and the water bank, which, and I did check out all the paths in the area. I drove to Tonawanda, I drove to Niagara Falls. It seems to funnel into very small paths, and it does end at Buckhorn. There's no path there. It picks up, I believe, along the thruway. And if you go up the bridge, it's 4 feet wide, and you have to walk your bike apparently, but I found out. And then when you get to the bottom of the bridge, there's no more paths. It's just sidewalks, and bicycles are illegal on sidewalks. So I don't understand where the main connector link is, really. Turning 2,000 cars into, I don't have the estimates on the bicycles, but we'll say half a dozen a day right now. I mean, there is a couple clubs that maybe ride once or twice a week in groups, but you know, that's about it. I've lived there my whole life. And there's a lot of traffic coming around there. Even at night, you know, I sit out on my stoop and I watch some cars that just keep coming and coming. And, you know, I'm strongly opposing this, and I think there's a lot of ego things going on between the supervisor and the board. I think it's turned into more like an ego thing than what the residents really want. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maggie Hughes, 247 West River Road. Are there really that many bikers to jeopardize the safety of our children? And I have children, we've got grandkids that play and live there for a reason. I have an elderly mother that walked the dog up the street. Is it that many people to jeopardize the safety of our residents? Thank you.
Let's limit our conversations. We need to get on with the
Sorry,
board.
I got something else. Also, I noticed a sign down on Isleview Park there. They do not maintain the bike path over there between the winter months. So that was, I found that interesting also. So they were worried about the parkway closing during the winter. But there is, like last winter was mild, so there was a lot of traffic using it all year round. And people do use it, you know, even when it's not plowed. It's drivable, you know. So, okay, thank you.
Take the money and plow it.
My name is Martin Goss, and I live on North County Road on East River. I like to ride my bike down West River on the service road because there's very little traffic. But one other thing, it's always been open to duck hunting from Beaver Island. And these people pull up off the parkway to bring their boats down to the water. So if they're still gonna hunt, they're gonna be parking their cars on service road, hauling their boat across, and that causes problems for plowing and stuff like that. And also, I was curious, are we ever gonna get to tourist homes? Is that gonna be
Anything on the agenda right now?
all right, so I can talk about tourist homes?
Yes. It's on the agenda.
All right, well, I was reading the new proposal that there's a lot of things still missing in it, like the cost of a license. How many tourist homes an owner can own, 10, 20, 30. It talks about multiple occupancies being able to put into tourist homes. So say if it's a duplex, that means there's 24 people that can be at that location. Or say these new apartments, why wouldn't they want to have short-term rentals if they're for one or two of their buildings? And even though there's...
So just to answer that just real quick, it's for continuing to allow, it's not to permit additional or new.
That, you know as well as I do that that violates the Federal Trade Act Commission Act of 1914, creating a monopoly for these people. So anybody can come in and sue under that grounds and start one on his own. And check it out, it's a fact. Also, 351 has been in effect from day one for licenses for short-term rentals or tourist homes. And the definition of tourist homes and rentals are occupancy of less than 30 days. These people never once tried to get a license this whole time. They're rewritten in 351, so now they got to get a license, but it was always there. So I don't see where anybody's going to enforce any of these rules because they haven't been enforced to begin with. You know, let's see. Going back to your comments here, it's going to be renewed annually, but doesn't give any indication of any kind of termination.
That was just ideas. We haven't even processed or haven't even posted the final document yet, but it will be posted.
Well, I mean, these are things that I think should be
Well,
addressed.
there was a lot of, yeah, and I welcome, and you've sent a lot to me, and I welcome that.
Our children are going to start counting in the membership there too, because your previous one said children under a certain size didn't count. Then you talk about your noise ordinance. The state noise ordinance says 90 decibels. You know, a bathroom fan can be 70 decibels. For as far as noise, we all break the law if we're having a party and stuff, as far as the state law is. Let's see what else. This committee that you want to form, they're not going to be able to enforce anything. They may be able to give the license recommendations annually, but there's not going to be enough follow-up to make it worthwhile if these people violate it. Because to this point so far, nothing's ever been done when there's been complaints. You know, so we're still in the same boat.
Yeah, you might want to hold your comments. If they do set a public hearing, you're going to want those comments recorded at that time.
Well, are you reporting them now?
Well, they are.
I'm noting high points or things that we haven't captured so far. So
Well,
some of these we have.
And I know that there's
of
2 and 2 things, and I never mention anybody's names or whatever in any of my comments. But I've sat at some of these meetings, and I see the turmoil that is there. You know, I lived in Grand Island all my life. I went to Vietnam. I want to live and die here. This is the greatest neighborhood I ever lived. They used to lock our doors. If we had neighbors see us out doing something, they come over and help you. If you're gone, they watch your house. The object of the zoning, 407, was to secure the security and integrity of resident zones. This is jeopardizing them zones by constant turnover of people. Because they're not going to watch out for your house. I mean, I've had people on my tractor, I've had people on my dock, you know, and then your insurance requirements. There's no liability requirements there. There's no protection if they come over and get hurt on my property that I gotta be sued. You know, there's a lot of things to think about more than just. And I know once you get involved in trying to present something, it's hard to keep a clear mind. I'm just asking you guys to start really thinking about the people that had come up here before and had the complaints. That's why I was here, because as an islander, I believe that we all should stick together for what was originally intended for the residents of Grand Island.
Ruth Bugman, 334-5 I didn't realize that because I've been so caught up with Bike Path recently that tourist homes are on the agenda. And I didn't realize that we had made progress on it. I'm just wondering, have you decided to allow grandfather these homes?
There's going to be There's a proposal being put together this evening, and you'll know more after that discussion is had.
No decision has been made?
So this is for setting a hearing.
Okay, because, what this gentleman is saying is, it's heartbreaking what's happening to our homes. I mean, this isn't anger that you're seeing, it's disappointment, it's disgust, it's heartbreak. The home down on Baseline and West, no, not Baseline, I'm sorry, Fidel and Wester, they had, I believe, 43 people in that home, and the septic system blew. You know, these are things that, and it had been smelling for a while, I guess, from what I heard from neighbors. I don't know firsthand, this is something I've heard. Has anyone on the board been notified of anything like this? You did know? Right, but these things happen mostly on weekends. Nobody's around, nobody's enforced anything. And now these people who came in and broke the law, invaded our neighborhood, put our safety at risk, are being coddled. 14 homes, 14 people come in here and say, I've got money, I put money into that house. Well, if you put that much money in the house, you can certainly sell it at a profit. There's absolutely no need these tourist homes to be here. They're a danger to us. There are new people that care about us. Like this gentleman just eloquently said, that we take care of each other. I mean, a neighbor was ill. I knew he was ill. He was standing out on the road for half an hour. I picked him up, brought him back to my house, made tea, called his wife to let him know that he was taken care of. These are things that happen in neighborhoods. It's not going to happen with these people. They're roaming all over the place. There's kids screaming at you. Evidently someone was trying to get down the road at the same spot. And they wouldn't get out of the roads. They were walking the whole road. And suddenly tooted a horn, and 10-year-old turned around and said, you got a problem? You know, any kid can do this. I wouldn't put it past my own kid. You know, when kids are kids, but this is unnecessary. It's extraordinary, and it is against the law right now. Right now, you should be putting these people out. September 23rd. They've had a year. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Any more comments to the agenda? If not, I close that section. I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes from the workshops of number 36 and number 37, also the regular meeting of the 14th.
Second.
Motion made. Roll call.
Veronica? Belica?
Aye.
Kinney? Aye. Madigan?
Aye.
I will entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda. We received the following: building permits for July, meeting minutes of the zoning board, meeting minutes of the planning board, meetings of the traffic advisory board, and facilities and vehicle usage for the Golden Age Center. Are there any other communications from the board? Are there any other communications from the town board for the consent agenda? If not,
I make a motion that we approve.
I'll second that.
roll call.
Kinney? Madigan?
Aye.
Belica?
Aye.
Veronica?
Number 8, communication for Beverly Kinney.
I'd like to set a public hearing so everybody can come forward with their comments. A public hearing for September 6th.
You would like to make a
Tourist-
motion to.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion, set a public hearing for tourist homes for September 6th.
I'll second that.
Any comment?
I'm not ready to do that yet. As you can tell, we only had 2 people stand up. I have questions myself about the draft law. I don't think we've gone through it enough. I would like not to be under the gun to be able to produce that draft law, because we know that if we have a draft law and we have the public hearing and we want to make changes to that, we have to have another draft law and another public hearing. So I'd like to get the draft law down pretty pat, so when we have the public hearing, it's our only public hearing, and then we can go on from there. My second concern is that it's September 6th, and it's the day after Labor Day. People are just coming home from vacation, their kids ready to go to school, they're maybe really not paying attention to a public hearing being held that day, so I'd rather not do it.
And I'm
Billika?
Nay.
Veronica?
Fails for all active votes. Majority. Entertain a motion to set the public hearing, Beverly? Wester?
Oh, sorry, that's me. I would like to propose a resolution, or make a motion to propose a resolution to vote in favor of the West River Bike Path, what we're referring to as option 4, located in the closest proximity of the West River Service Road as is feasible. This plan would not include new parking lots, but would expand the existing 4 lots, which includes going over the 6 Mile Creek. Additionally, we will send a letter stating this, if it passes, of course, requesting the state to cost this out, so that we can have a better understanding of what we're proposing.
Second?
Motion made, motion second. Discussion?
Okay, I talked to the state today. They actually went over all of the proposals except for the one that he just, Mike just brought forward. I asked a lot of questions. I asked if we put it on the, the number 1 and number 2, the bike path. Mike was telling me that a lot of people wanted that particular, or one of those, without guardrails though. The state said there would absolutely be guardrails, and for safety, we would need them. But we would also need it because it's American with Disabilities Act demands it. And I think that one of the things that they made very clear to me, and that I understand that, is that people keep saying it's just a bike path. It's not just a bike path, it's a pedestrian path, it's a mixed use path. So you will have walkers and skaters and children. So safety is our number 1 priority, and I think everybody agrees on that. So I'm not totally against having it and for 1 or 2, but it would have to be with guardrails. And they also said, and that's really not even negotiable after the Skajackwada tragedy. They may have done it before, they're not going to do it now. The only thing is, there's certain areas where there's a very steep embankment, there'll be guardrails on that side of the path as well to protect any kids or anybody from going down the embankments. The other thing that they would insist on, and I've read through all the, I have it with me if anybody wants it, all the laws and regulations for bike paths for New York State DOT. And the issue, and there is concerns, I heard some of it tonight, of getting from West River Road to the bike path across the 55-mile-an-hour highway would require stoplights, not stop signs, but stoplights at the intersections where bikers would be crossing to help disabled people get across that may be using the bike path, or elderly, children, families, people with kids, strollers, that sort of thing. I also asked about the medium, putting a path down the medium. I'm just giving you information that was given to me today. Down the medium, it said the inclines are too steep. They really have to really level the ground all the way down the whole 8 miles. That in order for handicap or anyone else that, as far as going downhill with children with small bikes and stuff like that. I know Mike walked it, I've walked it too. There are some definitely sharp inclines. Mike thought it was rather flat, but in front of where I am quite often, you actually cannot see the tops of the cars when they go by that are on the parkway. So,
Excuse me.
There's definitely inclines. And I'm sorry, because I did allow everyone else to speak, and I never interrupted.
No comments from the audience at this time.
Hold on, let me get through this. So anyway, but that's their deal. That's for their engineers to look at and decide what is what, whether it's possible, whether it's not. DOT comes into play as well. And they have a whole host of laws of their own. But that's one of their concerns there. So widening the road is what's, in their opinion, out of the question. They'd have to widen it 4 to 5 feet on each side because you have to account for two-way traffic with bikes and walkers. So that's a lot of cement in front of your homes and a lot of traffic, I think, way too close to your homes. This new thing that Mike has come up has just come up tonight. I haven't really had an opportunity to look at it. There are a lot of laws, a lot of regulations that go into why they chose what they did. They are listening though, and I did look at, started going through all the responses that were sent in. There's a lot. There was like over 500 responses, close to 600 actually, from yay and nay. And some people like to say, well, there's more yays than more nays. I took statistics in college, and we all know that depending on the questions that are asked you and the information you're given, you do different things. You can really slant a lot. Either way, my job, I feel, is to look at all of it, to ask all the questions that I am asking of the state, of the town, anybody that I can talk to. I think we've all done a lot of homework on this. We are listening. I agree with the one lady that got up and was talking about people being nicer to each other. I certainly agree with that. I respect people. I don't interrupt people. I don't talk while they're talking. I don't make fun of their ideas. I think you all have valuable ideas. I listen to them all. I have a job to really look at everything and try to come to the best decision I can come to, and I hope that you'll respect that as well. I'm looking at all of it. Right now, looking from what I've heard and what I've seen, and also I want to make a note that one of the things I asked about today when I was there is the duck blinds. The duck blinds will not be affected, and they're working with Ron, I forget his last name.
Brisbane.
And they've had a really good meeting with them. They continue to talk to them about duck blinds and how they can get access for the duck hunters. So they're confident they're going to work that out. Parking lots is another thing. Most all the parking lots are coming out, especially the ones that are in front of homes. And they're working on that. So they are listening. They are listening. The docks, all the permitted docks won't be touched. They're not touching the waterfront. Impact on the service road, and Chris met with them, and he brought this up, and it was very good idea. He asked, I believe you asked them to do a study or something for the service road and then the impact on the service road, and they're really thinking about doing that. I think we have to take that opportunity to see what the impact is on that service road and make sure that whatever they do, wherever they put this bike path, that the impact of the service road is something that they're going to address for all of our islanders that go down the service road. So that's something that really we should push and make sure that that's done. Tonight, for me, I'm not going to vote for. I'm going to tell you up front before they call the vote, because I really would like to look at it further. I would like to wait for the state. The state is going to come back. Mike has asked for another informational hearing so that you can again weigh in and see what actually they've done with all the ideas that have been sent to them, so that we can push back wherever we need to. And I asked them to be much clearer on what the laws are and what the different things that they do have to comply to, especially with our seniors, our handicaps. This is a path for everybody, not just bikes. So for that reason, I would like to wait and see what the state has to say when they come back, so then we can go from there. I would like to push forward for them to do a impact study on West River Road, so we can see what the impact is. I feel they should deal with that no matter what they put in. I don't think that if we're gonna end up with more traffic, that we should brunt the cost of fixing that road if we need to, or whatever goes on downtown, or in the state, in Albany, I suppose. So, one of the things going through this manual was in every single paragraph just about, the word safe is there. Safety, safer, safely. That is my top priority in my eyes. And no matter what we say, the Gajacwood accident has had an impact, and the decision they made, that is why they changed up once they found a lot of the issues that they were going to have to get people across that road safely to the bike path. That was what figured in very seriously for them. In my mind, one mom, one dad, one grandmom, one granddad, and certainly one child hurt, maimed, or killed is unacceptable. So it is a serious thing for me, and I take it very seriously. Thank you.
So I met with Mark Thomas on Friday as well, and my only comment to him was, how is it safer to put 12 to 15, who knows how many cars on a 30-mile-an-hour road close to residential neighborhoods? How is that any safer? How is that the safest option, I asked him? And who does that shift the liability to? It shifts it from the state to the town. That's a town-owned road. And then the other question I had to him was, what's the impact of the maintenance on that road? And we're all going to have to pick that additional traffic up on that road. And he didn't have some answers to the liability, and he didn't think it was a good idea to do a traffic study on that road as well. But I just, common sense screams that that's not a safe place to put a lot of traffic in a 30-mile-an-hour road. And so that was my message to Mr. Thomas, and I hope he listens.
Go ahead. Deb addressed all the concerns about option one. She's absolutely right. But you have to remember, back when this project was brought to the town board, the only proposal we were given was option one. Some of us didn't want any bike path. But the expenditure of money, what do we really need to do that for? You can just ride down West River Parkway like I do often too, Service Road, and it's fine. It's enjoyable, it's safe. Anyway, so that's the only option that was presented to us. And we got convinced that, okay, if the state's going to do this, and the state's going to take over the maintenance of it, and maybe they'll cut the grass for the people who live there, and maybe it'll be better because parks used to do it. So the town board at that time voted to support that proposal. Now, all of a sudden, as we all know, all these other proposals come up, and we don't know anything about them. And we've been working, Mike's been working very, very, very hard on this. And option two is maybe acceptable as a shoulder of the road because it's already there and it works, but maybe it doesn't because you do have bikes going both ways. You have people that want to walk. The shoulder's only that big. So this additional option sounds like a good option. Take the service road, come over a certain distance, I believe it's 10 feet that we have the right of way, and get back onto state land, not town land, now on state land, and create a bike path multi-use trail down the median. If it goes like this, well, we all know that all you gotta do is scrape a little portion here and fill a little portion there and it becomes level. So that's not hard to do. One of the other things that's been talked about is this safety thing. And that seems to be a pretty safe alternative versus putting all the cars that used to be on the parkway on the service road. That is unsafe. Chris's question to Mr. Thomas that went unanswered, it's pretty interesting. Second of all, I just don't know how you increase access to our riverfront by denying cars to drive on the parkway. You don't have to drive 55. They can drive 40 and take it easy, pull off into an overlook, the whole business. The whole thing just doesn't make a lot of sense. This option that we're talking about really does make sense. I hope the state looks at it. My gut feeling is they don't. They're not going to. They don't care what we say. They're going to do what they want to do. And because I wasn't allowed to talk at the public comment period, this letter that I've been reading here, Mr. Aronica read too, I'm not happy with either. It's not town stationery. It's from the supervisor of Grand Island, and I'll just take a couple excerpts if you don't mind. I'm writing to you to put the letter sent to you last week by my town board colleague in context. There was a 3-2 vote, which was a weak expression of dissatisfaction with the current draft plan for the West River recreational path. Other things are going on. I hope this letter helps you understand that a 3-2 partisan vote should be reflective of a snapshot in time and not a definitive statement on this project by the people of Grand Island. There are other things in here. Of course, he gets a hold of Congressman Higgins, who just likes to talk. And he ends with, there is noise with any project. The hum should be replaced with the sound of bicycles and chattering children in the parkway. In other words, your hum should be replaced. I disagree with this. I don't think it should be sent on town stationery. If the supervisor of Grand Island wants to send in his comment, absolutely, positively send in your comment. So I would ask the question.
Only because I'm part of who that was directed at. I do think this is not necessarily defensive. I don't know how to word it, but I just got to emphasize in terms of partisanship, if you look at the bookends of this situation, I just voted with the two individuals who are voting for the bike path on option 3 for term limits. On the other end, I'm on the tourist homes with the same two individuals. It is not partisan. It is based on what I believe. That's how I vote. I do not vote partisan. There's nobody that controls me. And under tremendous pressure from my own party, I took an opposite position 2 out of 3 times. So here's my 3rd time. We're talking about this. So I just want to put that to bed. But I would like to address Ann Williams. Absolutely. I think in the tourist home situation, you can see how we both, there's people that are taking different positions. It's not partisan because there's people from a mix of different parties taking different positions. I don't see the same type of problems occurring in those cases. And it's just as passionate, and I think many people, including maybe a number of people in this room, are very passionate on their positions, both pro and in particular against the tourist homes. But we're not seeing the same problems we're seeing with this situation. I think we all need to commit, myself. I'm sure I've strayed because it is passionate and there is a lot of issues. And I think we all need to, as a board, not just as the public, but as the board, commit to getting these behaviors, and I'm not saying it's partisan, because I don't believe it is, but just getting these competitions set aside, having mature conversations, and trying to address that going forward. So now, I'm going to go over this, and I apologize, it's going to be a little choppy because I've heard a lot of feedback, and I want to answer some of that as well. So that was on that. In terms of, there is a split. I mean, it is very close. The comments that went into the state, I'm still finalizing some of the numbers because they have given them to us. It's about 60-40, pretty close to that. 60 against 44 option 3. That's pretty close. Another interesting point that I saw was about 10 or 15% or more are actually against doing anything. I think one of the things we all need to understand is everybody has valid points. I mean, those that are against the project, it's like, oh, but there's $2.5 million. Why don't we take it? Why can't we do this? We're talking about one of the safest roads, safest bike paths on Grand Island. There's only one that's probably safer. It goes down West Park. So, I mean, if you look at the bike paths, every road is considered a bike path with the exception of the 190 down the center. This is the safest, and here we are trying to fix it. So, I mean, I think the argument even for doing anything is pretty darn strong. Now, the argument for closing the parkway, I think there's a strong argument for that as well. There's a lot of reasons why you might want to consider it. I mean, it's huge. It's 24 feet across. I think there's a lot of reasons why you might want to consider it. There's also a strong argument for making it as close proximity to this option 4 that we're talking about. And I'm going to address those things in order. First of all, I think safety has to be one of our primary concerns. And when I look at safety, and if I rate the different options, our proposed option 4, where it's in close proximity to a low-speed road, is the safest. I don't think anyone can make a good, solid case to say it's not the safest. And most of and I drove the full 8 miles. I took about 2 hours to do it. I stopped very frequently, took measurements and what have you, and just so you can see, I haven't typed it up because it's too much. These are all the different stops that I made. I took measurements and everything. I looked at what the dynamics are, the flatness, and it was flat with the exception of some very shallow ditches. It's flat. It's graded. It's minimal, and where those culverts, which will ultimately be what it will be, I mean, we're talking a small pipe's going to address the water issue at those spots. I do think drainage is going to have to be considered, but it's going to be minimal when you look at it. So just going on, in terms of safety, you're talking about a 4 or 5-fold increase in the traffic on the service road. You're talking about 1,500, 2,000 cars a day on the weekdays. Weekends not so much, but weekdays you are. So I mean, you're talking a fairly substantial increase. And where are those increases? When are the kids waiting for the bus? When are the kids getting off the bus? When are the kids playing on the streets? It's in those rush hour times. There's 1,800 people. It's probably closer to 250, 300 people that work there. But there's also all the people coming home, all the people going out to work on second shift. It's fairly concentrated where most of the traffic's occurring. It just so happens when the residents' kids and et cetera are coming out. If you look at the houses there, they were set back. They were repositioned as a result of the change to the West River Parkway. Their doorsteps, in many cases, are from me to that microphone. I mean, we're talking, their doorstep it's the 10-foot right away, and their doorstep is right there. Their chairs are almost on the road. So, I mean, there's some things you got to look at. It's atypical on the island to be that close to the road in many of the cases, many of the houses. So it is a more unsafe situation. That service road was never designed for higher traffic. It was designed and expected to be a very low traffic area. That's how it was designed. And now we're talking about concentrating that, and if this bike path were successful, you're talking about not just that 4 to 5-fold increase, but on weekends and et cetera, and maybe even weekdays, you're talking about an increase in traffic that could be substantial. So let me just continue here. So if I look at the different options, and I'm sorry, this is going to take a little while. Option 4, I think, is the safest. And just to be clear, that is not option 2. Option 2 is located very close to the high-speed road. Option 4, which is not what Mark Thomas is talking about, is located almost on top of the service road with some buffer, which would make it safer. So regarding guardrails, that assessment has not been done. And I think you'd be really challenged to say guardrails. I mean, you're talking straight as an arrow. It's straight like the crow flies. There's no hills. There are no hills. There's no hills on the service road if you look at it. So, I mean, I think you'd be challenged to say, okay, it's a 30 or so mile-an-hour road. It's straight, it's flat, et cetera. I think you're going to be challenged to say a guardrail is required. And then throughout most of it, there is actually a berm, and you would be on the other side of that berm, and in most of the cases, there's also a ditch before you get to the high-speed road. So there's a ditch that's a car stopper. I mean, you'll bury yourself in that ditch before you come up and go over that berm, and then go over the berm and then make it to the service road where the bikers are going to be. For the most part, that's the case. The narrowest spot, the only place where it really does narrow down pretty good is right near 6 Mile Creek. Probably might want to consider about guardrails there, but I think with that one exception, I think guardrails would be minimal. That's going to knock down the cost tremendously. When I look at how they costed this out, how option 1, which is between the river and the parkway, could ever be even close. So if it's between the river and the parkway, you're talking a tremendous amount of brush clearing. You've got slopes. You're going to have guardrails on both sides. If anyone actually did an engineering study on option 1, priced it out, the price has got to be double or triple what option 2 was. And we're not even talking option 2. Option 2 would be tougher because there are more ditches. There are more steep spots on the river side of the median. But on the service road side, it is flat, it's graded. You're going to minimal effort to put a bike path in at 10 foot away from, which is the right of way, from the side of the shoulder. So I'm not talking shoulder, we're talking 10 feet out, that's the right of way, and that's where it would be. So option 1, the service road, so option 4 is the safest. The next safest would be to do nothing. So I would say that's the next safest thing to do. Because let's face it, if you do the bike path, pardon me?
Excuse me, don't speak yet, please.
So if you do the bike path 10 foot off the shoulder, there is a buffer that is safer. Do nothing, it's the next safest. Option 1 and 2 in close proximity to the high-speed road, with or without guardrails, either way it's going to be less safe. And option 4 would be the most dangerous, in my opinion, based on the 4 to 5-fold increase, based on when much of that increase is going to occur during rush hour in the morning and in the evening. It's going to be a big concern. And anyone that says that that's not less safe, that there's more of a chance of a child being killed or injured, and or an adult, and or a head-to-head, car on car, there will be more accidents. That's just a simple fact. There's going to be significantly 4 or 5-fold more cars, etc. So that's my argument on that one. Just a minute. Let me just keep going here. Oh, handicap. I think that's a very important consideration. The handicap. I've mentioned it. When you're talking handicap, riding the current West Park way is very pleasant. You can pull off. You're right on top of the river. What's being proposed is not that. You're going to be well off and way away from the water. The parking lots are not going to be on top of the river. I think we really do need to consider handicapped considerations. And 3 of the 4 parking lots, I think, would satisfy that. So if we took those 3 parking lots that are right on the river, you're addressing the handicap situation. So that's okay. If traffic lights are required, if that's what the state says. Right now, though, I can say it wasn't required previously. If you look at where the current bike path crosses the 190 entrance or exit, there's just a crosswalk there. You are, and no one can fool anyone. We are talking a relatively low traffic parkway. It's not high traffic. So I mean, I don't know if that's going to be required. I would expect that it would probably be more of a flashing yellow light indicating crosswalk, but I'm not sure. The state will have to decide that, but either way, it's a lot less costly than guardrails or closing. My biggest concern is making an error, a bigger error, trying to fix a big error, extremely big error, the last time 50, 60, however many years ago it was. Two errors is a bad idea. You're going to see crickets. I mean, 9 weeks out of the year, maybe it'll be busy on the bike path. The rest of the year, it's going to be crickets. And people are going to be driving down that service road and looking and saying, what did we do? Why is that? Oh. So regarding the DOT data, so much of the data was from 2006, some of it was from 2009, a little bit, very little, just a couple of days was from 2013, and I'm not convinced they were at the right locations. I'm concerned that there's been growth since then, and I'm not sure if that data is accurate, but I can say you can probably guess how much it's grown, but it's probably more like 2,000 cars rather than 1,500. So I think we got to factor that into what we're talking about. And then with further build out of the island on the west side, it's going to grow.
Mike, do you know who did that study? Because I saw.
DOT. I got the data. It's on that disc that we all got. So we have all the data.
So there was a FOIL request put out though.
I saw it.
They couldn't find the record of that, so.
Right, I was really concerned that there was no data. The DOT actually responded to a FOIL request and said they have not done a study since 1936. They've since produced the data and there was a study done, so that I think has been put to bed. It's clear that there really was a study done, but it's deficient at best. But I think it gives us one of these, and you can kind of estimate how it's grown since then, and I think 15 is probably closer to 2. That's for the low end on certain days and probably headed for 2,500 or so. I don't want to overestimate. I'm not going to guess. I shouldn't have guessed. Let's see. Parking. Sorry, it's choppy because I'm trying to answer all the issues. Well, regarding that survey, the survey that was out for weeks and weeks only had one option, yes. So then I saw something, and I can't even say where I saw it, where some other survey was put out, but it was in the last couple days before the comment section closed with a no option. So I mean, that is, and who did it go out to? The friends list of certain individuals that were pro. I mean, it's not really, that's unscientific. We have to go with the state data, not a unscientific or unapproved method that New York State is following. And whether that's valid or not, we got to follow the process, which is the comment period. We received it. It came out about 60-40. Numbers still being finalized, and we're going to check and validate what we see as far as that data, et cetera. And I know I'm sucking up all the air in here, so I'll try and end it in a second here. Give me 1 second. I think I've hit all my critical points. With that,
I just want to
yes, absolutely.
address a couple things you just said. So one of my concerns, actually I have a couple, for the path right in front of the road. Okay, so, and I think, for the West River Roaders that are looking at it, that it's going to put a 12-foot wide cement piece or blacktop in front of your house with right across from the service road. So I mean, you need to visualize that as well. So for some people, that's really important. Not seeing a huge another patch of cement in front of their house. That's one drainage. Maybe what people would like that, but I know you keep saying there's a lot of traffic, but then you say there's not a lot of traffic. There's crickets. So.
I'm saying a 5-fold increase, and during certain rush hours, it's very busy.
Okay.
I think that's pretty substantial.
Yeah.
But it's not a high-traffic road by any stretch of the imagination, but that service road was never designed for higher traffic than what it's seeing right now. And that's what we're talking about is not just increasing it by the parkway amount, but we're talking about on top of that, if this bike path takes off, as it's purported to do, there could be a fair amount of increase. On top of that, the build out that's going to occur on the west side.
I think that what I would like to see is for you to table it for the time being, so that we don't send another letter supporting something that we're now withdrawing until we do get some more information on the engineering and stuff like that. I'm sure our engineering department would help out with that. They have all the numbers on the elevations and all that sort of stuff. So I guess
respond to that?
just let me just finish. I guess I'm hesitating to constantly doing a knee-jerk reaction, making, sending out the letter that we're now retracting almost, because we don't like that option too. So before we send another letter, let's be sure of if that's what we want. You know, because this is also another option that has not been put out to all of the people for them to actually get a good look at and say, are we going from bad to worse? You know, so I think that, you know, that's something that these people deserve too, to get a really good look at.
So just to address your concerns,
Just my 2 cents.
in terms of the comment section, a significant number, it was the second highest rated. People actually preferred option 4. It was repeated time after time, 60 or so times, if I remember correctly.
And it's different to have to say, here's what we're going to do, and put a visual in front of you and show a rendition. Then you go, oh my goodness. For a lot of people that were on West River Road this weekend, it seemed to me that some of them called out all the bikers, because there was like dozens of bikers going up and down West River Road on both, on both sides of the road. And that's the first time looking out the great big bay window that I was looking out of, that I thought to myself, wow, that's really close, you know, to the house, you know. So I think if you put a bike path too close on that, to that road, and not much of a buffer, that's a lot of road, that's a lot of activity immediately in front of your yard. So that's one of the reasons why I think that people should really have a really good idea of what we're putting forward.
What option is
Just
do
my
nothing?
opinion. Huh?
Why fix
No,
something
no.
that's not
The,
broken?
the option is to have a better,
Why put money into something
Okay.
that's not broken?
Jim.
I'm sorry.
How about up the Dutch?
Yeah. Excuse me, no conversation on phone.
okay.
So just-
Anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
So just to revisit, first, in terms of, so Nate's not present. So it's not good that we're gonna make a decision here, but I think he's kind of forced our hands. He put a letter out there, on the Grand Island letterhead, that does concern me. And I think we need to re-clarify our position again. So that does kind of force our hands.
Well, we can
New York-
clarify that
New York
that's not our
State's-
position.
We
but
need to
still.
clarify what our position is. The only way we're gonna do that is by voting. I think we need to vote. So that's one of the reasons why I feel strongly that we need to take a position. The other reason, which I've actually discussed with and received an apology from, although I don't know if a correction's gone out, is there was a very misleading article that went out in the Buffalo News last Tuesday that said we voted down, period, the bike path. And in fact, that individual, Mike C, I can't remember his last name, Cadden or whatever, has sat through all these meetings. He knows there's 3 options. He knows there's 3 options. He knows we voted down option 3. We made it crystal clear. There's video that he could have referred to if he somehow got confused, which he was not confused. He's chosen not to be here today. He knew Nate wasn't going to be here today. Not going to say that that's related, but he knew we were going to vote today for an option that the town is favorable to. I'm concerned, will the News retract or correct the record? Because they said we voted down the bike path, period. Will the News report similarly that we have now voted for, if that's what the conclusion is? I don't know if the Buffalo News is here today, are they? I made it clear through text messaging with Mike that I thought that this was a very, something that the residents are very interested in. I'm really shocked that the Buffalo News has chosen not to be here today. I'm disappointed. I think it demonstrates, pardon me? Yeah, that's not the Buffalo News. So I'm disappointed by that. With that, I'm gonna go forwards.
Roll call.
Can I get the motion, Mike, please?
I will hand it to you, but I can read it again if you want. Oh, here. Ignore the notes below.
Did you read it, please?
Do you want me to read it?
Yes, please read it.
This is the motion. Would like to propose a resolution to vote in favor of the West River Bike Path Option 4 located in the close proximity of the West River Service Road as is feasible.
As close as feasible.
As close as feasible. New parking lots, but expansion of existing, the 4 lots.
Right, so there's 4 lots.
No, they're overloads, right?
Oh, the overlap. And
That's
additionally sending a letter stating the, requesting the state to cost the project out.
Right.
So now I have a motion.
Nate,
Mike, would you be willing to amend that instead of saying in close proximity to the state land immediately adjacent to the town right away?
Yes.
So where it says located in the close proximity of the West River Service Road?
Immediately adjacent
To
to,
the state land immediately adjacent?
starting 10 feet, because it's legally, that's what it stated, at 10 foot from the edge of the road.
So immediately
service.
adjacent to state land?
And so input, so you say.
Town, oh, town.
Town land.
Town right away.
Town right of way, gotcha.
Thank you.
Right?
I'd say town property.
Within
Town
10
property.
10 foot of the,
Adjacent to town property.
Okay.
That's what you're
Just
trying to
put it
get.
there.
Town property, I got it.
The right of way is.
Right.
Ambiguous.
and to
Immediately
be,
adjacent to town property.
right.
State land immediately adjacent.
Property of the West River Service Road.
On state land.
Yeah, located on state land immediately adjacent to town property, is what you're trying to say.
And we might even want to define adjacent. It's 10 foot from the edge of the service road.
I wouldn't say that the resolution.
What's
the-
No, okay.
The road meanders a little bit with the survey.
Okay.
motion made, motion
All right.
second, with the,
Yes.
as amended. Any comment?
Yeah, I have one comment, and that is that I would like that letter to be sent to all board members to sign off on. The last letter, I never got till I was copied after the letter was sent, so I would like a copy of it. I would like to look at it before it's sent out.
I don't know about signing, with that, I don't think that's required. You just want to review it and.
I want to
and
review
comment-
it and have my
and
comments, yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Roll call.
Madigan?
Aye.
Bilica?
Aye.
Aronica?
Aye.
Kenny?
Nay.
Okay. Item number 10, communication from Peter Guthrie, dealing with the bonding of reconstruction of highways on Grand Island. Summarize it, please.
The board you have before you a resolution dated August 15th, authorizing the reconstruction of and construction of improvements to various roads within the town at an estimated cost of $805,000, and authorizing A, the use of $130,000 of town 2016 budget funds, and B, the issuance of serial bonds in aggregate principal not to exceed $675,000 of the town, pursuant to local finance law. Such amount to be offset by any federal, state, county, and/or local funds received, and delegating the power to issue bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the sale of such bonds to the town supervisor. If the board's okay with that, a motion and second would be in order.
Make a motion, except at the very beginning there, it says extract the minutes, and talks about members present, members absent, Mr. McMurray, would have, name would have to move down to absent.
Correct.
Otherwise, make the motion.
Motion made, motion second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Bilica?
Aye.
Aronica? Kenny? Madigan?
Aye.
Item 11, communications from John Whitney, Engineering. John is requesting authorization to advertise for bids for the Ferry Road Water Line Reconstruction Project, job number M-211. Entertain a motion.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Aronica? Bilica?
Aye.
Kenny? Madigan?
Aye.
Number 2, we need to authorize the supervisor to sign the agreement with the Dormitory Authority for the grants to be done to the community center upgrades through the municipal facility program, project ID number 6279. This is for $210,000 for the removal of asbestos from the community center at the Nike base.
I ask that you make that resolution subject to the approval of the attorneys as to form.
Amended?
So moved.
Second. Take your pick.
Comments? All in favor, roll call.
Bilico?
Aye.
Kenny? Aye. Veronica? Madigan?
Aye.
John is requesting authorization to advertise for bids for 2016 blacktop resurfacing of various town roads, project M-14-2016. This is going to be for the resurfacing and the repair of 23 roads in the town of Grand Island throughout the remaining of this year. I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Comments? Roll call.
Madigan?
Aye.
Kenny? Aye. Bilico?
Aye.
Veronica?
Communications from Pam Barton, Accounting. Pam needs authorization to amend the budget for the transfer and use of trust and agency parkland development funds in the amount of $8,500. This money is to be paid to CB Design Group Architects for the services in the design of the pavilion to be considered for Veterans Park. Once the transfer is done, the budget will have to be amended as explained in your packet. I will entertain a motion.
Second.
Comment? Roll call.
Veronica? Bilico?
Aye.
Kenny? Aye. Madigan?
Aye.
Pam is also asking for authorization for the budget transfer of $2,300 within both the water funds and the sewer funds as shown in your packet. I entertain a motion.
Second.
Comment? Roll call.
Veronica? Bilico?
Aye.
Kenny? Aye. Madigan?
Aye.
Communication for John George in Parks. He needs authorization to award contract for parking lot expansion for the new park maintenance building to Amherst Paving in the amount of $30,412. Funds have been reserved in the capital reserve budget line. Per the bid process, 6 contractors were contacted for bids. Only 3 have submitted within the timeline. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Comment?
I'd like to move to table this. Oh, I should probably discuss it first, right?
Motion for table.
Oh, I'd make a motion to table this.
I will second it for discussion.
Okay, the reason why I'd like to
Hang
do
on,
that.
Mike. We just need to vote on the table. Motion.
Motion made, motion second.
What are you making the motion to do?
Table.
Table.
To table?
Mike is down.
Madigan?
Oh,
Yes.
Are you going to discuss this, or are we
So-
running a roll call to table it?
Roll call.
You don't have, okay, sorry. You-
Madigan?
Aye.
Kenny?
Aye.
Bilico?
Aye.
Veronica?
So moved. Move to table.
Now
Yeah,
we
can I just clarify one thing, because it's a rule, it was a new blip, I didn't know that one.
I didn't either.
So when you make a motion to table, you get a second, there's no discussion, you have to vote?
Oh, no, there's always discussion, yes.
Okay, because okay.
You want to have a discussion of why you were asking you to tabling it.
Yeah.
That's okay, you can have a discussion on
No,
that.
I don't want a discussion.
You want to?
Well, I'd like to just
No,
explain it.
I just wondered if that was the way.
You're looking for clarity.
I'm just clarifying.
Since you denied my Second Amendment right to speak.
There's always supposed to be discussion after the second,
Okay.
before you call for
On the question vote.
Okay.
So
I
I'm
might
gonna
have, I might have jumped the gun, I thought.
Yes, you did jump the gun.
I'm sorry.
I'll just give a quick footnote. I just want to go.
Mike, you don't need to do anything quick.
No.
Yeah, this will only take 20 minutes. I'll be brief. I just want to go
I'm gonna
visualize
kick him in
and
time.
confirm whether this is a must-have or nice to have, so that's what I'm doing. I'm concluded.
It was short as.
Oh, boy.
Got to get the last word.
Well, I was told the short straw, I'm just kidding. Number 14, communications from the planning board. The planning board is asking to be authorized a site plan amendment to the landscaping for 2620 Grand Island Boulevard required by the engineering.
We're gonna make a motion to approve this. Okay. The
Motion made,
planning
voted.
board actually went over this, it's acceptable.
Comments?
It's a new landscaping plan, which is acceptable to the planning board and fits in with the scheme, so. That's all I can say. Yeah.
Roll call.
Kinney?
Yes.
Bilka?
Aye.
Veronica? Madigan?
Aye.
Number two, planning board is asking that we authorize the site plan for 5,500 square feet cold storage warehouse at 2409 Fidel, request by MJ Science.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Comments?
Yeah, what was, sorry, I'm beating it to the punch. Used to make that. This is just to, they're not gonna have to put certain parking places in, but it is gonna be on the site plan, so at a future date, if they need to put it in, it's there, they don't have to come back to the board for approval. So, the planning board also recommend for approval as well.
Roll call.
Kinney?
Yes.
Madigan?
Aye.
Bilka?
Aye.
Veronica?
Planning board is asking for authorization to approve a final plat for the 7 lots for a subdivision required by Kristen Savage for Advanced Design Group. Motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I would like to say, this motion is, I would like to note that they must complete the drainage swells prior to before we issue their building permits. That's the only thing I would like to add.
So that needs to be part of the motion, right?
Yeah, yes.
Just want to note it.
Because otherwise it just gets
Okay.
approved.
Yeah, we can have it make a part of the motion then.
Say that again, Beth? What's the
Want
complete
to
drainage
note
swell?
that they must complete the drainage swells prior to getting their building permits.
Roll call.
Madigan?
Aye.
Bilka?
Aye.
Veronica? Kinney?
Aye.
Excuse me, I don't think. General communication, all right. General discussion. The law office of Mark Butler, representing the Grand Island Fire Company, are requesting a few items from the town board to allow them to borrow $360,000 at significantly reduced tax exempt rates to make necessary improvements to the fire station. They have requested that Greg Butcher be named hearing officer for the public hearings to be held September 6th. I will entertain a motion.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Veronica? Bilka?
Aye.
Kinney?
Aye.
Madigan?
Aye.
Supervisor is authorized to sign the resolution that will approve the borrowing of the money pending a favorable response at the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Comments? Roll call.
Bilka?
Aye.
Veronica? Kinney? Madigan?
Aye.
Second one, Mr. and Mrs. David Kelly have requested the recreation of a sub-lot 54 at corner of Lakeview Drive and Deerwood Lane. Currently, the parcel is attached to sub-lot 53 at 327 Deerwood. The building department has reviewed the request and has determined that both sub-lots 53 and 54 meet the current zoning requirements and can be approved. I will entertain a motion to approve of the splitting of this lot.
Should this go to the planning board? Should this be referred to the planning board before we approve it?
It doesn't need to.
I don't think it needs to because it meets all the requirements is what Bob Russell told me.
All we're doing is splitting the lot if they have to do it.
But you know how we,
We checked that rate
Yeah.
before because of the last time,
Yes.
and we asked them that if it's built, if it does not need to go to the planning board, you just attach a memo from all the powers. So assessors looked at it, building looked at it, zoning, and they said that it was good
Okay.
without
Yeah.
going to the
put
planning
that,
board. We checked it.
yeah, great.
Motion second.
Second.
Who made it first? Bilka.
Who made that motion?
Bilka?
The second. Comments? Roll call.
Bilka?
Aye.
Kinney? Aye. Veronica? Aye. Madigan?
Aye.
Mike, can you give us a report of the audit committee?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to pay the following amounts to the following accounts. General fund, $39,007.13. Highway fund, $735.00. Sewer fund. Did I say that wrong? Sewer fund, $29,077.74. Water fund, $15,872.55. And the capital fund, $11,435.25. And the total is $96,127.67.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Madigan?
Aye.
Kinney? Aye. Bilka?
Aye.
Veronica? Aye.
Under unfinished business, we still have Gun Creek PDD, the renewal of the HVAC, still it was sent out for a second bid. Elderwood, still pending a seeker, and the police commissioner. I'll ask for suspension of the rules to add one more item to the agenda to discuss the dedication of a road.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Roll call.
Kinney? Aye. Madigan?
Aye.
Bilka?
Aye.
Veronica?
I have Peter Guthrie actually explain.
Sure, the board, you have before you a resolution consent to the town board and a resolution accepting a public drainage easement. Both of these are in relation to Country Club Cottages Phase 2. Acceptable to the board. I'd ask that you make a motion and second the board.
So moved.
Second.
Comment? Roll call.
Bilka?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Kinney? Aye. Madigan?
Aye.
All right, this time, if the public has any comments on any issue, it may come forward.
Valerie Funk, 2244 West Oakdale Road. I would like to thank Mike Madigan for his proposal of option 4. I think it's a fantastic idea. I think everybody should be happy with that, and I would like to think that it's somewhat similar to having a sidewalk, even though that it won't be in your front yard, it won't be between the road and your house, it will be across the road, the other side of the service road, and it wouldn't be any different than having an extra wide sidewalk. And I think Grand Island has far too few sidewalks. So I think option 4 is a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dan Alberti, 1401 West River. I got a question for Beverly King. There was some money allotted, I believe, for the internet, for the schools last, the town funds, $6,000, was voted on.
Feasibility study.
Have you seen the article in the Buffalo News from Como that the funds are coming? Buffalo area?
Yeah.
I got the article.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I was at the press conference. Thank you.
You guys want money? Yeah.
Thank you.
One other thing, closure of the road, Parkway over there. They planned on putting 1 inch of blacktop on there. You know, I worked construction for 35 years, and 1 inch of blacktop is not gonna hold up more than one, 2 seasons. It's gonna crumble. You have to go back, it's gonna come on with just the elements of the weather will crumble. And also, one more thing with Bev, where did this guardrail, what guardrails are they proposing for this path?
Which one?
I mean, back in 2015, they said there would be very minimal guardrails, and that was
Yeah.
after the accident.
Apparently, since that accident, that is when, and when they did it, I guess, because I asked that question today, said that once they started doing engineering and seeing all the different levels and the close proximity, and actually DOT comes into play then too. And, that's when they just said, and the accident has also caused them to rethink the city.
They had told us at that time, I believe, I don't know when the accident was exactly, but I believe it was well after the accident.
April of last year, so I thought it was well after.
Yeah, I think
right around there.
it was after.
It was well
When
after.
I asked him about the law